everyone, Bokkun the Robot here, and today I will be reading you all Chapter 22 of The Walking Dead Hope, the Walking Dead fanfiction written by Goofy Gomez. Now this is apparently a story of Louis and Clementine having a baby named Hope, apparently, according to the story, I think. Goofy Gomez, thank you very much for giving us permission to read your stories, man. Keep up the good work on your writing, okay? So, are you guys ready to read this chapter? Okay, here we go. Louis paced the hallway outside Clem's room, Angie leaning against the opposite wall. It had been 2 days since Hope was born, and Eleanor was inside Clementine's room, checking on mother and daughter. Louis had rushed as fast as he could to Richmond, arriving the day later and letting Johnny and Eleanor know that the baby was healthy. Johnny drove them back to the school immediately. Johnny was walking down the hallway toward them. The freckled man looked up at him, a frown on his face. Any news on Clem? Johnny asked, eyeing the door. They heard a high-pitched chuckle from the other side, and Louis smiled. Eleanor's still in there, he said. He replied. She said there's nothing to worry about, but you can understand my skepticism. Johnny nodded. I can, he said simply. Don't worry, Clem's the toughest woman I know. She'll be fine. He leaned against the wall beside AJ, crossing his arms. They waited patiently, the silence only broken by the sounds of nature outside. It was a beautiful autumn morning. The sun shone through the windows, birds welcoming the beginning of a new day with their melodic singing. Louis looked outside the window, seeing the dry leaf on the courtyard rustle in the soft wind. So, Johnny said after a while, how's it feel holding your daughter? Louis' expression softened, his smile threatening to outshine the sun outside. It was incredible, he said, shrugging. It was exactly what I expected it to be. And more, I never thought I'd be able to love anyone as much as I love Clem, but little Hope takes the cake. I'm happy for you, Louis, Johnny said, nodding. You guys deserve some happiness after the crap you've been through. The crap Clem's been through, too. Strongest woman we know, right? Louis said, winking down at AJ, who giggled. You guys are staying here for good, I suppose, Javi said. It wasn't a question. Yeah, it's our home, Louis said, nodding slowly. We're extremely grateful to you guys, but I think it sort of worked out in the end. We would have had to travel a few months for Clem and the baby to travel back here safely. It's perfectly fine, Javi said, clapping Louis on the shoulder. Eleanor and I will be leaving this afternoon, and she'll be coming back a few times to check on Hope. And you're welcome to drop by any time you want. After that, you know. Don't worry, we will, Louis promised. I haven't forgotten your promise to play baseball. The conversation was cut short when the door to the room clicked open and Eleanor stepped out, the stethoscope hanging from her neck. Louis and AJ, you guys can come in if you want, she said with a soft smile. Upon seeing Louis' concerned expression, she shook her head. Everything's perfectly fine. The labor was induced by the great amount of stress, but she got lucky, real lucky. Excitedly, AJ rushed into the room. Louis chuckled and followed the boy inside, closing the door behind him. The window beneath the beds was open, and a gentle breeze blowing through it. Around the wall were some of AJ's drawings through the years, much of which they deemed way too valuable to carry on their trip to Richmond. Clementine was lying on the right bed, holding Hope in her arms. She was rocking the baby softly back and forth. Soft whimpers escaped Hope before she fell asleep. Clem's eyes drifted upwards to see her husband walking toward her. She gave us the all-clear, she informed him, her smile lighting up the entire room. We'll just have to be careful with her for a while since she's not born full term. Honey, she could have been born with 2 heads. I would have still been extra careful, Louis said, sitting on the edge of the bed. How would she be born with 2 heads? AJ asked innocently, tilting his head to the side. Can babies do that? No, it's a joke, little dude, Louis said. Now, has little Hope had breakfast yet? he asked Clementine, raising an eyebrow. Eleanor helped me breastfeed her just before you guys came in, Clem said, looking down at the baby. She ran a soft, slender finger over her cheek, making Hope smile. She's an angel, my little sweet pea. Sweet pea, AJ repeated, smiling. Isn't that what Lee used to call you? It is, Clem said. I think it's fitting, don't you think? I like it, AJ decided. He looked down at her with a frown, pursing his lips. When will she wake up, though? Oh, I just put her to sleep, Clem started to say before a small cough announced the opposite. As if on command, Hope slowly opened her dark eyes, blinking rapidly due to the bright light of the sun. Hey there, little one, Clem whispered, tapping her nose. Look who woke up from her beauty sleep, Louis cooed over his daughter. He extended his arms and Clementine placed the baby on them, carefully setting her hand in a crook on his elbow. Hope looked up at her father, her nose scrunching up as she sneezed. Is she allergic to you? AJ asked. Nah, she's not allergic to him, goofball, Clem said, upon seeing Louis' hurt expression, a smile on her face. Eleanor told me that her senses are still very susceptible right now. Says what? AJ frowning. It means she's more likely to sneeze or cry than we are, Louis said, looking at Clem for support, who nodded approvingly. Oh, all right, said AJ. He looked down at Hope, who stared back at him. Though AJ's lips curled into a smile, he raised an eyebrow. What does she do? Clem and Louis both chuckled, startling Hope. The baby began whimpering, and Clem took matters into her own hands. She took Hope from her father's arms and started rocking her back and forth, humming softly. She sang the lullaby she used to sing for AJ when he was a baby. A different time. As AJ stared at the proud mother, Louis stood up and took the guitar that was leaning on the dresser, strumming it gently. Husband and wife played off each other, both of them looking down at their daughter. She was staring back at them, her small brows tightly knitted in confusion. Hush, little baby, don't say a word, Clem sang, the harmony in her voice filling up the room. Hope blinked a few times, intent on finding the source of a new sound. Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird, and if that mockingbird won't sing, Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. Louis's heart almost melted as Hope's mouth opened wide. A soft sound escaped her as she yawned. And if that diamond ring turns brass, Mama's gonna buy you a looking glass. As Clementine's singing rolled off her tongue, Hope's eyes drooped gently, letting out another yawn. She rested her head comfortably in Clem's arms and closed her eyes for good. Let's hope she doesn't snore like her father, Clementine whispered, pulling Hope's blanket closer to the baby. I hope Vector doesn't snore in his sleep. I'm standing right here. Oops. Anyway, I could barely sleep for the first year of our relationship, she teased, waking up at him. Hey, you promised to take me in sickness and in health, he reminded her, unable to keep the smile from creeping onto his face. Well, that is my sickness. They heard a soft knock on the door, and AJ let Ruby in. Upon spotting the sleeping baby in Clementine's arms, she smiled and made a motion of zipping up her lips. She was carrying a small wooden bassinet in her hands. It was mahogany, with carvings on the small headboard. It depicted the sleeping baby in a faceless mother's arms. Found it stored away in one of the faculty dorms, she said softly, placing it beside Clem's bed. Louis covered its base with a small blanket. Sitting at the foot of the bed, and, with Clem's help, he placed the baby gently on it. Hope whimpered softly, but Louis began humming the lullaby again, and she drifted back off to sleep. Thanks, Ruby, Clem said, lying back on the mountain of pillows on her headboard. Who would have thought Louis's thousands pillows would be useful, she thought with a smile. And no thanks, Sug, Ruby replied, looking down at the baby. Oh, she looks just like you, Louis. Me? Louis exclaimed dramatically, shaking his head. No, that's on Clem there. She's going to be the prettiest girl in the apocalypse. He looked over at Clem and winked. Well, second prettiest. And this is where we'll stop for part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 of Bokkun the Robot Reads Chapter 22 of The Walking Dead Hope.